Hey Mark, it's Trace. Just pulling your stuff down here and taking a look. You had a good week, and so what I'm just going to do, I've got a couple other ideas I'm going to throw past you here. Something I was thinking about that I think might be kind of handy for you training in the off season, especially as we start moving towards a lot of the time on the wind trainer. So hopefully it'll be cool. Anyway, let's take a look here. So here's your stuff up on Garmin. Everything's looking good. Looks like for the most part, let's see, you were able to get some outdoor rides in, which is great. I know it's sort of hit and miss this year, but everything's good there. And we're seeing that was a good day there. Some good elevation gain on Saturday. So that's all looking good. Um, and got your stuff pulled in. This is great. You're exactly where we want you. Zero TSB. So not too recovered, but definitely not buried at all. So very happy with that. That's exactly what we want this time of year. But so yeah, pretty happy about that. If we take a look at here, so this is your time off here, so you can see your training stress balance. This is over the last 30 days. It was I think you, the person can go up to as high as like 40 up here or something like that. None of my athletes ever get higher than that as far as recovery, but you can see how it had nice and slowly has gone down. If we were to draw a line from here to here, it would be fairly smooth. So, and then this range around here is right where we're going to keep you. So let me stretch this over here for just a second. And then if we look at your week here, so you had the day off, kind of recovered here, and then started. You started slowly climbing back up here again a little bit. So that looks really good. Pretty happy with that. And again, I think you were the most recovered on the 26th, and so it's kind of interesting how. Sometimes it takes a day or so for your body to catch up, even though you started back up on the bike here. You still, still allows you to recover. Your sub OT was, I think, right around here. So, and then this is exactly what we want. We don't want you in the red at all. So that's exactly what I was hoping to see. So if we look at your over the last 30 days, 214 for your training stress score, which is excellent. Anywhere between 200 and 300 is right where we're going to keep you. I'm glad to see your 20-minute peak. This is holding good here, the 239, which is awesome. Very happy about that. Gosh, what did I find over here that's kind of interesting here? If you look at the time and zones here, this is where we want it. So basically, my goal is, especially with endurance and tempo and threshold, you'll see that tempo is about half of endurance. So we're knocking each one of these by 50%, which is exactly what we want. Even this here, your active recovery, this is almost 50% of that. So you can see as we go up each level to threshold, we want this to be about 50%, the threshold to be about 50% less of what tempo was and so forth. So this gets down to be pretty small, but that's exactly what we want. So looking good there. And your weekly time here, so this is all good. Everything's this is the week here because this is actually no, I'm sorry, this is the week here. So this is just right exactly what we want, dude. Perfect. Let's see, what else do I have? Training stress. So you're holding good efforts here. These are those sub LTs, and then you're kind of backfilling with the other rides, which is great. Another thing, well, I guess let's just go through your rides first, and then I'll talk about some of the stuff that I was thinking about. So here's Wednesday, and I believe, yeah, that was an indoor ride here. So you can see here your 20-minute peak came right there at the end, which is very good. And this is that sub LT, so you can see those good sets. And if I hover my mouse over here, you're hitting about 158 here. 156. So this is all basically sub-lactate threshold. That's exactly what we want. We don't want it to be threshold. We want it to be sub-lactate threshold, so right under. So what this is going to do is it's going to hold you and prepare you and set you in a great spot for getting ready for FTPs the start of the year. So the other thing too is you can see here how my mouse kind of skips. I don't know if you're stopping your watch, but if you could just keep it running, even if you have to step away from your bike, you use the bathroom or whatever. Keep it running just so I can tell how much time you're getting recovery in between there. Make sure everything's okay. But either way, you can see how quickly your heart rate is coming down here, and you can see how quickly your heart rate. And look how smooth and even your power is. Your power's not dropping as you go through that set. So everything's good there. Thursday, this was more of a just kind of a easy ride or whatever, and you can see that the work sort of started here about the 35-minute mark, and this is really good for that knee. One of my rules when I was having a lot of knee problems was pretty much not to start any hard work until about the 15-minute mark. So this is just what we want. So here's the meat of your workout right here. They need to see temperature because that was probably indoors, so that just makes it easier. And you can see here your power and your heart rate are both going up in tandem, and then you just spun out the remainder. So good warm up and cool down. So these are all critical this time of year too. A little spin on Friday. Everything looks good. You see here again the power and the heart rate kind of working in tandem, which is awesome. Saturday, 90-minute ride, good. And you can see here I've identified your 20-minute peak power. Loving that. Very good there. And your 20-minute peak was, what was it? Let's find it. 207. Perfect. So these are the long, slow distance. That's what we want. LSD. So it builds those base. What it does is it just helps your muscle systems work on those base, the base at the base part of your cells, your muscle cells, and it teaches your body to pull energy from not from the lactate in your muscles, but actually, the glycogen in your muscles, and teaches you to use oxygen that you're breathing, so oxygen in your blood versus any of your glycogen in your muscles. So this is really important to do that. Same thing, good ride here. Sunday, a little bit more intense here. We can see you were getting up to 159 here. I think there's a big power peak there. 255. Everything else is all good. And then looks like just kind of a cool down or whatever in between here and here. The nice thing is this isn't counting it as 142. It'll actually chunk that off for me now. So the software has been updated a little bit. So very good. Let's see, your max heart rate 159. Everything good there. And then yesterday, I think another just good spin day. Just hold it. You got the concentration of an animal, dude. So you started at 21 minutes and overdo an hour and 10, and you didn't spin out once. So way better than I could do. I'd be like, I don't know. I'm like a 4-year-old. I have a hard time concentrating on things longer than 30 seconds. But so that looks awesome. And so for this week, it's not going to be like groundbreaking, but let me show you something that I was thinking about that I'd like to try. So in our training stress planner here, we've been talking about, what week we're on and basically, a rough goal. So, I mean, you're like right now, your weekly training stress, I'm probably going to adjust these up because you're right around 200, and that's perfectly fine. We can get you up to 200, no problem. And then, actually, you know what? Let's just do that. You're about 220. So we can get you, just plan on that. We're just going to hold that for this time, and then we'll maybe start you out beginning of December. We'll make that like 240 or something like that, just so I can be reminded. That's what we want to do. And then from this point on here is when we're going to really start. So we will start roughly here, 240. And you'll see that your training stress will start going up pretty quick. And then of course, a recovery week. But that wasn't the thing I was going to talk about. What I wanted to talk about, too, was we had this percentage of time on the TT bike, which is good. And I think you're even more than that right now, 20%. But another thing, too, is like as you're doing your sets, I'm calling this new thing time in TT position. So right now, on your TT bike, I want 30% of your time in the full TT position, with your arms in the aero bars or whatever. And then the 40% in your climbing position, which is basically just your hands on the drops or the bells on the outside. And then 20% in that standing. So through all of the sets, whatever you do, I want you to do that. So like if you start your main set and it's a 1 minute set, say for example, we'll use that for simplicity. You're going to do a 1 minute set. So for 30% of that time, so that would be roughly like 25 seconds, you're going to be in the TT position. And then you got to go from your TT into your just sitting up position, like you're climbing, and then another 20% of your time to the standing. So what that does is it's going to teach you to change systems a lot, but it's also going to, the more we, when we start getting in here, it's going to be more like 40% TT position here, and then we're going to start dropping off more of the stuff. And I'm going to switch it around. So you're going to do climbing, and then you got to go straight back into TT position, which starts getting hard. So you're standing on your pedals, you're climbing like you're going a hill, and then you got to get right back down into your TT position, get your head pointed, and build up your power. So this phase here is to prepare you for that. And so you're going to see on your calendar, get over here to calendar, I've added these new columns, time on TT bike here, and then time in TT position. And so and then I'm also identifying what phase we're in here too. So like this will be, this will all be filled out here. So, and then on Wednesday, I'm going to make this a sub LTW2 just to keep you from being bored. A lot of this stuff, I'm just trying to keep you from, from losing your mind on some of that stuff. So, a little bit harder here, but I want you to do 7 minutes recovery in between the sets. So you're going to increase your intensity, but yet you're going to come back. Okay. So I'll get this out to you. You'll have this. Again, just kind of keep an eye on this. I know you're way ahead of this, and don't be afraid to do more than 20%. But this is just going to be kind of an active metric at this point. So so hopefully this is all good. And then again, in this long, slow distance stuff, just exactly like you're doing on the weekend. So we're in a good pattern here. I'll try to touch base with you Tuesday when I get back. But if something happens where I'm just totally out of pocket or some crisis going on here at work or whatever, we can definitely have you in this holding pattern for the next few days without being in any danger. You can see here that this week will be just a tiny bit harder than it was last week, but with you at 0 TSB, that should be fine. You won't have any problem with that. So other than that, dude, you're rocking it. You're killing it. I really appreciate you doing exactly what you're supposed to here, and it's going to really pay off. Again, you're going to want to make sure you're doing some of the weights, and that's actually should be week 3. Let me just check that so we can just make sure that we're on track. And that's all core work and those kind of things. Some of the stuff that we talked about. So nothing, no 800-pound squats or anything like that. But loving it. Everything's good. Love you, buddy. Really appreciate seeing all of that good stuff coming in there. See you doing exactly what you should, and you're going to be in a great position. We just gotta we just got to get you peaked properly for next year and take care of that knee. Don't let anything, 500 watt, 20-minute difference or anything like that. So I will be talking at you later. Thanks, man. Bye-bye.